This is the date and time set for sentencing this matter. Executive Counsel Appeal.
Sierra Coke on behalf of the people.
Your Honor, on behalf of Ms. Defendant. We went over the recommendations. I didn't provide her a hard copy of the report.
Okay. Did you want to review that report before we get started?
Okay.
Okay.
I would actually like to withdraw my plea.
So there's only a couple of reasons why you're allowed to withdraw your plea after the court accepts it.
Okay.
Number one, if there's an error in the plea taking process, in other words, if I forgot to do something that I was supposed to do, if you didn't understand what was going on at the time, I'm confident that you understood exactly what was happening on that day.
Not really.
I know that's what you say, but to any rational person.
Okay, but I'm not the only one guilty in this situation, so that's why I want to.
There was no error in the plea taking process, in my view. There's no reason for me to allow you to withdraw. So,
Well, I said that at the time of the last court hearing, because that's not what I wanted to do that at the time.
yeah, I hear you. I'm not going to allow you to withdraw your plea because, in my view, you knowingly, voluntarily entered into that plea on that day. So, we're going to go forward with sentencing today.
And as I said, I wanted to get you to read that. I said I wanted to take it down. Neither of you guys accepted that answer.
So we're done. We're done with that. I'm not talking to you anymore about going to trial.
Okay, but some of this stuff is not true. Some of this stuff is not true.
Okay, you're going to have a chance to tell me what's not true and what is true.
You have it on here as if it's true. You say that I fled the building. I left because you guys wouldn't accept my answer that I wanted to take the trial. I told you I wanted to take the trial and you wouldn't accept that answer.
In about 3 minutes, you're going to have a chance to tell me everything you want to tell me. Okay?
That doesn't change this though. That you wouldn't accept the answer that I said I wanted to take a trial. So you would accept that the plea deal. Because that's the answer that you wanted me to do. I didn't want to make that choice. I stood right here and told you guys both that I wanted to take it to trial. And that answer wasn't acceptable. So why wasn't that answer acceptable?
This hearing, if you're going to keep interrupting me, then we're going to stop the hearing and have you taken into custody. We're going to try again at a different day.
Okay, because
I'm not going to keep listening to what you're saying because it's not correct. We had the hearing.
that is correct. I stood right here and told you that I wanted to take it to trial and you wouldn't accept that answer. You guys went ahead and goes through the plea deal anyways.
Both Ms. Stefan's bond. We're going to take you into custody at this time. You're going to be held without bond. We're going to reset this for a sentencing hearing at a later date.
So what?
And you'll get jail credit towards your sentence for the time you're being held now.
Because you don't want to hear the truth about what happened. She says that I cited that I kicked and hit her and I didn't. My cousin had to show up and spray us out with the most.
Because you keep interrupting me. Because you keep interrupting me and I can't conduct this hearing.
Because you're not listening.
So for the record, my court will reset this for a sentencing hearing at a later date. And I'll notify counsel.
Sierra.
I'll also issue a written order revoking your bond and remanding her to the jail. That's
Sierra Coke on behalf of the people.
Your Honor, Richard Hirsch on behalf of Ms. Defendant.
Thank you. This is a continuation of a sentencing hearing from last month. Are you going to participate in this hearing today? Okay. Mr. Trush, have you been able to go through the pre-sentence report with Ms. Defendant?
She reviewed it in court last time. We talked about it prior to that.
Okay. And do you need to go through anything about that report with your attorney today?
I didn't get to finish going through it because I got pulled aside.
Okay. You need a minute to look through it?
I already noticed that some things in there.
Okay. What things weren't true in there? So that indicates the charges, the things you were charged with, and how that case was resolved. What's incorrect?
When I finally got out of that situation, I tried to come back and I tried to say something. I tried to reach out and speak up about what happened. Because
let me just, we're not going to argue about whether things happened or didn't happen. What I'm talking about is just the information about the charges and the conviction and the dates and those kind of things. I know you don't want to agree with what happened in that case, but this isn't about that. This is about the information in this report. Is that correct?
I don't understand what you're asking.
So I don't want to argue about the facts of what happened in that case with Mr. Gildner. I'm asking you if the dates in the report that show when things happened and what the charges were, and how those charges were resolved, if you have some dispute about the factual information. Okay, again, it's not what this is about. All right, I'm satisfied that the prior criminal history for Ms. Stefan is correct. Ms. Stefan, you don't agree with what's written in terms of the...
I was never punching or kicking her.
Okay.
I was being drug around by my hair and tackled to the ground, being called a bitch and a whore.
Okay.
When I got up and I called the police.
Okay. Mr. Trish, are you aware of any factual information contained within the report? I understand that Ms. Stefan contests what's in the police report and what's reflected, and she doesn't agree with that information. But are you aware of the factual information in the report that's not correct?
So I guess what I would indicate is I think she does have an ability to obviously give her version of events when she has the ability to allocate. In terms of things that I would indicate to the court that are incorrect, one, obviously the jail credit needs to be updated. It's currently at 3 days. I think the probation department actually agrees with me that 20 is the right number, or I should say I've done my math right this time. Correct, Joe. In addition to that, they list that there's one prior felony conviction. It's probably splitting hairs. I think that's factually inaccurate. The felony conviction occurred after this. So again, it's probably splitting hairs, but I don't think it's properly called prior.
Okay. Ms. Cope, do you have any victims that wish to address the court here today?
She is present. I do not think she wants to speak. You know, I was looking at my notes for Ms. Stefan, and I actually went back to my last case with her, and it says Judge Mertz sentenced the defendant. He gave her 5 days in jail and held 25 days in abeyance. Thinks she should work on her CMH and her recovery. And we talked about those issues in that case. Ms. Stefan has a really hard time acknowledging the things that she does wrong and has a tendency to always blame the other person. It's been that way in every case I've had with her. You know, she's not very old. She does have some, from what I can tell from her records, some mental health history, whether she wants to address it. Her attitude towards Mr. McFalda is, you know, I'll come up there if I can. I don't need these things. So I really don't know the answer if she doesn't want to work on the problems. I mean, she entered a plea. It was difficult. The court was there. You know, she changes her mind. We had it all set for trial. I honestly think it was a great idea for her to take a plea because I think the likelihood of conviction was high and she would have had a significantly higher recommendation if she had been convicted as charged. I really don't know what to do with her. I think the recommendation is appropriate. I don't think she's necessarily a very good candidate for probation. Thank you.
So, Your Honor, I think there are several important things to consider here. You know, at first blush, I look at the recommendation here, and it seems strange to me. We have a recommendation that's essentially asking the court for a straight jail sentence on a person who has only had one prior probationary sentence and successfully completed it. Not only successfully completed it, was discharged early from probation. So from that standpoint, the recommendation seems kind of strange. Now, I certainly can understand why that recommendation may be made. I also think it's important to recognize Ms. Stefan struggles with the court stuff. And I say that, you know, we spend all day in court, right? For me to stand in front of the judge and speak and to address some of these issues is not a big deal. I do it all the time. I understand how to do it, understand what to say, what not to say. I think what we see from her when she gets into court is a trauma response. And I don't know where the trauma is. I don't know the answer to that. But it's not normal, right? It's not normal to be in court and be asked a direct question and not be able to answer it. And again, I don't know what the answer is, but it's certainly not something that we typically see. I tend to agree with Ms. Cope, where I think there's probably some mental health things going on there. Because
the hearing starts off normal. until the defendant suddenly claims her plea was a mistake. The judge shuts her down instantly, reminding her she signed every form willingly. But she refuses to stop talking, accusing everyone of trapping her. Within seconds, the judge orders deputies to take her into custody. A simple hearing becomes a full meltdown.
Again, we process plenty of cases, and in the vast majority of those, the defendant is able to articulate, right? Whether they articulate they want a trial, whether they articulate they want a plea, or even in the scenarios where it's difficult. Because I recognize that, we say, oh, you want to tender a plea or you want to go to trial, and that's probably not really the right way to phrase it in either scenario. Could see a straight jail sentence and could see benefits to Ms. Stefan from that type of sentence. I also, from sort of the raw facts here, could see a primarily probation-based sentence. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Stefan, anything that you wanted to say?
I did start with an argument, and I started packing my stuff to leave. And she was sitting outside on the porch, and I was standing in the door behind her talking to her. She got mad. She got up. She grabbed me by the top of my head. She threw me on the ground outside, jumped on top of me, started screaming about how I was a bitch, and I was a whore. Started making accusations to me against my cousin. So we kind of laid there in the grass for a while until somebody showed up and hosed us down with a hose to get us to separate. I didn't have her hair in my hand. She had my hair. And after that, I got up and I went in the house and I locked all the doors and kept myself inside until I could figure out what to do. I called several people, including her boyfriend, because he was the only other person that lived there that I knew who to call. And he was taking too long to get home from work, and that's when I ended up calling the cops. But I was not punching and kicking her. We did get into an argument over something because that was the second time I went to the police that day over an incident. And it wasn't even the first time that week that she had put her hands on me. Earlier in the week, she was drunk and she was screaming at me about all sorts of things in the middle of the night for at least 3 hours. This wasn't the first time that it happened, and that's when I ended up calling.
Okay. All right. Well, I read through the report. I've listened to what you had to say here, what the lawyers had to say. The thing that I have a hard time with, it seems based on your behavior that there's some mental health issues here going on. But it's hard for me to tell how much of that and how much of your actions are caused by mental health issues, including your behavior at work, and how much of it is just you've denied responsibility for things, you acting out and then wanting to blame.
I'm not denying responsibility. I wouldn't have called the police if I didn't need help with something.
Well, you just denied responsibility here. I can tell you this, that you amassed a record of assaultive offenses, both here and in other jurisdictions.
Which were dismissed.
You've been sentenced to 45 days in jail one time, 90 days in jail another time. And so, in my view, we need to have progressive penalties. I don't think probation is the right thing for you. I agree with Mr. Truce, generally, somebody with this record. I think what you can expect if you continue to engage in assaultive behavior is more and more jail time. And eventually you're going to find yourself.
I don't have the right to defend myself, and I don't have the right to call the police. Just I did.
So what I'm going to send you to here, which I think is a fair sentence, is 6 months in the Crawford County Jail. You have credit for 20 days served. Court is going to impose a crime victim's assessment of $130, court costs of $325, attorney fees of $350, and $160 state costs. You do have the ability to seek an appeal of this sentence. Because this is a misdemeanor, there are no written appellate rights. This is anything further we need to address for the record today.
No, thank you.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Again, you are remanded for the custody of the county at this time.
When the second hearing begins, the tone shifts completely. The defendant opens up about trauma, abandonment, and a lifetime of pain. She blames her past for every wrong choice, hoping the judge will show mercy. But the judge reminds her, accountability doesn't disappear because of hardship. Her story is heartbreaking, but the sentence still stands.